My name is Natalie. I am 32 years old. And 2 years ago, my family destroyed the best thing that had ever happened to me. They broke my engagement. They drove away the man I loved. They told me it was for my own good. And then, 2 years later, they came to me with their hands out, asking for help. That is where this story ends. But to understand how I got there, we need to go back. 4 years back. I met James when I was 28. He was kind, steady, thoughtful. He remembered small things. The way I took my coffee. The book I mentioned once in passing. The song that made me cry. He was not perfect. No one is. But he was good. Genuinely, quietly good. We dated for a year before he met my family. I was nervous. I knew my family well. My mother had opinions about everything. My older brother Marcus had opinions about everyone. And my father simply agreed with whatever my mother said. But I told myself it would be fine. James was a good man. They would see that. They did not see that. The first dinner was uncomfortable. My mother asked James about his salary within 20 minutes. Marcus asked him about his car, his neighborhood, his family background. James answered everything calmly, politely, without offense. But I could see it in his eyes. The quiet discomfort of being evaluated rather than welcomed. On the drive home he said, "They're very protective of you." I said, "They just need time." He nodded. He did not look convinced. But he stayed. Because he loved me. Over the next 6 months the comments began. Small ones at first. He seems a little quiet, doesn't he? Are you sure he's ambitious enough, Natalie? His family is from where exactly? I dismissed them. I defended him. I told myself they were warming up. They were not warming up. They were building a case. James proposed on a Tuesday evening. We were at home. Just the two of us. Simple. Quiet. Perfect. He got down on one knee and said, "I want to spend my life making you feel seen." I said yes, before he finished the sentence. I was the happiest I had ever been. I told my mother the next morning. The silence on the phone lasted 3 full seconds. Then she said, "Natalie. Are you sure?" Not, "Congratulations." Not, "I'm so happy for you." Just, "Are you sure?" I felt something cold move through me. "Yes, Mom," I said. "I'm sure." "We need to talk," she said. As a family. The family meeting happened that weekend. My mother. My father. Marcus. His wife Linda. All of them sitting across from me like a panel. James was not invited. My mother spoke first. She had concerns. James was not driven enough. His job was stable but not impressive. His family background was uncertain. He was too quiet. Too simple. Marcus agreed with everything she said. My father nodded along. Linda said nothing but looked at the table. I sat very still and listened to all of it. Then I said, "Are you finished?" My mother blinked. "I'm marrying James," I said. This is not a discussion. I stood up and left. What happened next happened slowly. Over the following 3 months my family worked quietly. My mother called James directly. I found out later. She told him things. That I had doubts. That I was too polite to say so. That he was holding me back. Marcus met with James once, without telling me. I found out later. He told James that I deserved someone more successful. That James would never be enough for me. My father said nothing to James directly. But he stopped taking my calls. James started to change. He became quieter. More withdrawn. He stopped making future plans out loud. I noticed, but I did not understand. One evening he sat across from me at dinner and said, "Natalie, do you have doubts about us?" I felt the bottom drop out of my stomach. "No," I said. "Where is this coming from?" He was quiet for a long time. Then he told me about the call from my mother. Then the meeting with Marcus. I could not speak. I sat there while the pieces assembled themselves in front of me. My family had gone behind my back. They had gone to the man I loved and planted seeds of doubt. And those seeds had grown. James and I talked for a long time that night. I told him the truth. That I had no doubts. That I loved him. That my family was wrong. He believed me. I could see that he believed me. But something had shifted. The damage was quiet but real. 2 weeks later he came to me with tired eyes. He said, "Natalie, I love you. But I can't build a life with someone whose family will work against us forever." I said, "I'll cut them off. I'll choose you." He shook his head slowly. "I don't want you to have to choose," he said. "You shouldn't have to choose." He left that night. He did not come back. The weeks after James left were the darkest of my life. I did not eat properly. I did not sleep well. I went to work because I had to. I came home and sat in silence. My mother called twice. I did not answer. Marcus texted once, "You'll thank us one day." I read it. I put the phone down. I did not reply. My father sent a card in the mail. It said, "We only want what's best for you." I put it in a drawer and closed it. 3 months after James left I made a decision. I would not be angry forever. Anger is exhausting. Anger keeps you connected to the thing that hurt you. I chose something different. Distance. I stopped calling. I stopped visiting. I stopped being available. When they reached out I replied briefly. Politely. Once. Then silence. I focused entirely on myself. I went back to therapy. My therapist said something that stayed with me. She said, "Grief and clarity often arrive together." She was right. In the grief of losing James, the first saw my family clearly for the first time. I saw the pattern. Every relationship I had ever had they had found a reason to question. Every decision I had ever made they had found a reason to doubt. I had spent years defending myself to people who were supposed to be on my side. I was done defending. I threw myself into work. I had always been good at my job. But I had held back, spending energy on family drama, on defending James, on managing everyone's feelings. Now I had no one to manage. I worked. I focused. I built. Within 8 months I was promoted to senior manager. Within a year I was leading my own team. My salary increased by 40%. I moved to a bigger apartment. Alone. By choice. I traveled to Portugal for 2 weeks. Alone. With joy. I came back lighter than I had been in years. I told no one in my family about any of it. Not the promotion. Not the travel. Not the apartment. I kept my life quiet and mine. 14 months after James left I got a message from Linda. Marcus's wife. The one who had said nothing at the family meeting. She asked if we could meet for coffee. I almost said no. But something made me say yes. We met at a small cafe near her office. She looked uncomfortable. She held her cup with both hands. She said, "I owe you an apology." I waited. She told me that she had known what Marcus and my mother were doing. The calls to James. The meeting. All of it. She had said nothing. She had told herself it wasn't her place. But it was wrong, she said. What they did was wrong. And I should have said so. I looked at her for a long moment. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. She exhaled slowly. "Because Marcus is doing the same thing to our daughter," she said quietly. "Controlling who she sees. Questioning every choice she makes. And I finally understand what it feels like to be on the other side of it." I sat with that for a moment. "I'm sorry," I said. "And I meant it." "I'm sorry too," she said. "For staying quiet when I should have spoken." We sat in that cafe for 2 hours. Linda told me things I had not known. That my mother had cried for weeks after I stopped calling. That my father had asked about me every single day. That Marcus had convinced himself he had done the right thing, and was only now beginning to question that. I listened to all of it. I did not feel angry. I did not feel vindicated. I felt something quieter. Sad. For all of us. For the years lost. For the love that had gotten tangled up in control and fear and pride. After that meeting with Linda, something shifted in me. Not forgiveness exactly. Not yet. But the door opened a little. I began to think about what I wanted. Not what they deserved. Not what justice looked like. What I wanted. I wanted a relationship with my parents. A different one. A real one. But I was not willing to go back to the old way. The old way had cost me too much. I called my aunt, my mother's older sister. She had always been the steady one in the family. The one who saw clearly. I told her where I was. What I was thinking. She listened to everything. Then she said, "Natalie. Your mother is not a bad person. She is a frightened person who made bad choices. There is a difference." I thought about that for a long time. "I know," I said finally. "But frightened people can learn," my aunt said. "If someone shows them what they cost." "I already showed them," I said. "You showed them by leaving," she said. "Now you have to decide if you want to show them something else." 2 weeks after that call, I did something I had not done in almost 2 years. I drove to my parents' house. I did not call ahead. I knocked on the door. My mother opened it. She looked older. Smaller somehow. She stared at me for a long moment. Then her eyes filled with tears. She did not say anything. She just stepped back and let me in. My father was in the living room. He stood up slowly when he saw me. He said my name. Just my name. Nothing else. And something in me that had been held tight for 2 years loosened just slightly. I sat down. They sat down. And for the first time in a very long time, we talked. Really talked. 2 years after James left, my mother called. I answered. Her voice was different. Smaller than I remembered. She told me my father had been unwell. Nothing immediately serious, but enough to require ongoing care. Medical bills were adding up. Marcus had lost his job 3 months earlier. He had not told the family until recently. They were struggling. She paused. Then she said, "Natalie. We need help." I sat very still. I let the silence stretch between us. Then I said, "Mom. Can I ask you something first?" She said yes. "Do you remember what you did to James?" A long pause. Natalie. I'm not asking to be cruel, I said quietly. I'm asking because I need to know if you understand what happened. Another long silence. Then my mother said something I had never heard her say before. I was wrong, she said. What we did was wrong. We hurt you. We hurt him. And we lost you for 2 years because of it. Her voice broke on the last word. I closed my eyes. I did not write a check that day. I did not say yes immediately. I took 2 weeks. I spoke to my therapist. I thought carefully about what I was willing to give and what I needed in return. Then I called my mother back. I told her I would help with my father's medical costs. A specific amount. Transferred monthly. Directly to the medical provider. Not to my mother. Not to Marcus. Directly to the provider. I told her I would not be helping Marcus with his job situation. That was his to solve. I told her that if she wanted a relationship with me going forward, things would be different. No more opinions about my choices. No more interference in my relationships. No more family meetings about my life without me present. She agreed. Quietly. Without argument. I think she understood she had no ground left to negotiate from. Marcus called me 3 days later. His voice was stiff. Uncomfortable. He said, "Mom told me you're helping with Dad's bills." "Yes," I said. A pause. "That's good of you," he said. It was the closest Marcus had ever come to saying thank you. I let it be enough. "How are you doing with the job situation?" I asked. "Working on it," he said. "Good," I said. "I hope it comes together." We said goodbye. It was civil. Nothing more. But it was something. My father called me the following week. He sounded tired. Older than I remembered. He said, "Natalie. I should have stood up for you. I should have said something when your mother and Marcus were making those calls. I knew it was wrong." I said nothing. "I'm sorry." It was the most direct thing my father had ever said to me. I sat with it for a moment. "Thank you, Dad," I said. "That means something." "Does it change anything?" he asked. "It changes how I feel about you," I said. "It doesn't erase what happened. But it changes things." He exhaled slowly. We talked for 40 minutes. It was the longest real conversation we had ever had. At the end he said, "I'm proud of you, Natalie." I don't think I've ever said that clearly enough. I did not cry on the phone. I cried after I hung up. Quietly. Alone. By the window. Not from sadness. From something closer to relief. Things are different now. Not fixed. Not the same as before. Different. I see my parents once a month. Carefully. With intention. The conversations are real now in a way they never were before. My mother asks about my life without offering opinions. It is new for her. I can see the effort it takes. I appreciate the effort. My father calls every Sunday. Short calls. Nothing dramatic. Just, "How are you? What did you do this week? I was thinking about you." Small things. But real things. Marcus and I are civil. We see each other at family dinners. We talk about safe things. Work. Food. The weather. It is not close. But it is not cold either. That is enough for now. Maybe it will grow. Maybe it won't. I have stopped predicting. Linda and I have become something unexpected. Honest. We meet for coffee once a month. We talk about real things. She is navigating her own difficult road with Marcus, trying to protect her daughter from the same patterns that hurt me. I listen. I share what I learned. It is the most genuine relationship I have in my family now. Unexpected. Quiet. Real. And James. I thought about James for a long time. 6 months ago, I reached out. A simple message. No expectation. Just, I hope you are well. I wanted you to know I think about that time with kindness. He replied within a day. He was well. He had moved to another city. He was building something new. He sounded like himself, steady and quiet and good. He said he had no hard feelings. He said he hoped I was building something good too. I told him I was. We have not spoken since. But that exchange sat with me for a long time. Some endings are not failures. Some endings are just endings. And the lesson lives in what comes after. I am not the same person I was 4 years ago. I am not the person who sat across from a panel of her own family and defended the man she loved. I am not the person who watched love walk out the door and said nothing to the people who drove it there. I am someone who knows her own value now. Someone who gives on her own terms. Someone who loves her family, imperfectly, carefully, with open eyes. I have a life now that is entirely mine. A career I built in silence while the noise around me said I was lost. An apartment that feels like peace. Friendships that are chosen, not inherited. A relationship with my parents that is smaller but honest. I did not get everything I wanted. I did not get James back. I did not get the family I wished I had. But I got something I did not expect. Myself. Fully. Quietly. Mine. If your family has ever made you feel like you need their approval to live your life, hear this. You do not have to earn your place in your own story. The people who truly love you do not call meetings about your choices. They do not go behind your back to the person you chose. They do not make you defend your own happiness. And if they have done those things, you are allowed to grieve it. You are allowed to step back. You are allowed to build something new in the quiet. Because the life you build while the noise around you says you can't. That life is the most yours you will ever have. Hold it carefully. Protect it gently. And never apologize for choosing it.